Hello, everybody. Welcome to C2E2. I am so excited to be here because this is a comic book convention, so I get super pumped when I get to talk to awesome, creative comic book artists and writers. And right now, I am being joined by Christopher Priest and Carlos Pagulayan, the writers and creators, artists on Deathstroke. I am so pumped to have you guys here right now. I am obviously up to date on the book, but I know there's a lot of people who kind of want to jump in, and we're starting a new story arc with Deathstroke number 30. Can you give everybody a little background on where they'll be jumping into the story?
Absolutely. So Deathstroke versus Batman begins with our issue number 30. A set of DNA documents surface that prove that Slade Wilson is the father of Damian Wayne. And those documents are delivered to Batman, and Batman obviously becomes very upset about that and goes to investigate it. And one thing leads to another, and I think they actually disagree over that.
I love it because it's basically in the comic book world, it's like, who's the baby daddy?
Yes, it's the ultimate custody battle between Batman and Deathstroke, and the loser gets stuck with Damian.
I mean, you might get stuck with him. He can be a little bratty sometimes, but he is pretty great. If he's on your side, he's pretty great to have on your side.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, can I just take a quick poll between Batman and Deathstroke? Okay, how many people would want Batman to be Damian's dad? Can I see a
Raise
hand?
your hands. Okay.
How many people would want Deathstroke to be Damian's dad?
Oh, Deathstroke definitely wins in our audience here at C2E2. You guys, if you are online and you're watching, tweet in, use the hashtag C2E2, hashtag it's a fan thing, and let us know who you think Damian's dad should be.
I can tell you, as of this, as we sit, I literally don't know. DC will have to tell us. And, you know, I think Carlo will draw it either way. I don't think he'll protest.
Probably we could have Jerry Springer to decide for
Seriously. Okay, if Jerry Springer shows up in a DC comic, that will be an incredible, interesting moment in the history of DC Comics. But talking about you guys working together, obviously you're saying, you know, you work closely with DC to figure out where the story's going to go. How do you guys work together as writer and artist on this book?
Well, basically what I do is I write a script, which is a lot like a screenplay, and kind of lay it all out, and I'll have the panel descriptions and the dialogue, and then we send them to Carla, who ignores it completely and draws something completely different.
You can see some of the artwork right up there.
And that's kind of how it works. Go ahead.
Well, I try to, absorb whatever Christopher is writing and try to think of it as a movie, and trying to consider whatever he's trying to convey. Because the thing is, whenever I try to draw from script, it's this it's a bit confusing or it's a bit of a problem where I'm trying to figure out if I'm understanding whatever he's actually trying to show. I mean to say. And if I don't get the idea, I tend to ask him for whatever creative decisions for.
So you guys do work pretty closely where it's like you send over the script, you draw some stuff, and you're like, am I on the right page? Literally on the right page.
Yeah, well,
some comics humor.
They'll be back and forth, and then the editors, our editor, Alex Antone, he's the guy in the middle who coordinates between the two of us. Carlo lives in the Philippines, I live in Colorado. So it's kind of interesting that we're kind of worlds apart. Like
well, and I always find it so interesting because there's so many times where artists and writers, like you said, are in two completely different places, and they'll meet for the first time at a convention.
Which is what's happening here.
This is the first time you guys have met in person.
Yeah, we've worked together for 2 years, and
oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
There is such a bond, I think, between writers and artists, and you guys do have a language that only the two of you really understand, where you're like, I drew this thing, is that exactly what you want? How fun is it for you guys when you actually meet in person? Does it help the process along down the line?
Yeah, not really.
No, it's exactly the same.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. But I just think he's terrific. I think
Thank you.
The main difficulty of being a good penciler, a good artist, is the acting, because you want to have the characters come alive. And most of that happens in the eyes, in the expressions, in the little nuances that Carlo brings to his pages.
I love it. And then being here at a convention, what is it like for you guys? Because we're backstage, there's a bunch of different artists that are showing up, writers. How fun is it for you guys to even meet some of the other artists from different publishing houses, different places at conventions like this, and get to talk to the fans as well?
Well, talking to the fans, that's the best part, because that kind of sets my barometer, sets my compass. As you know, I know which way north is just by hearing feedback from the fans.
So seeing the fans raising their hands about who they think the dad should be really does affect your writing.
Oh, that's a big help. Well,
you guys have power. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you right now.
But it gives me something to go marching up the hill to DC about. Like, no, I'm telling you, test this. You know, this is what we're doing. But as far as meeting the other artists and stuff, a lot of us, we talk online, we talk through email, but there's so many people here that I can't get up from the table. I mean, they had to drag me away from the table to get down here. And, you know, and all of a sudden these people who really love you and they're standing in line, all of a sudden they're booing. They're like, boo, he's leaving,
No,
boo.
they're just sad they don't get a moment with you. That's all.
Oh, I'll be back.
Let's jump back into the comic for a little bit, because something I love so much about comic books in general is a lot of times you do stay in continuity, other times you can jump all over the place. With this one in general, you guys are using the story from before, bringing that into this story. How important is that for you guys, and how do you make sure that you're staying in line with things that have already happened with Deathstroke and Batman and Damian?
We don't, actually. This particular story, we have pulled it out of continuity, a little bit out of continuity, so that people who have never read Deathstroke before, they can jump right on. You don't have to know anything about Deathstroke. If you somehow grew up in a closet or on a foreign planet and have never read Batman, you don't have to know anything about Batman. All the fundamentals are going to be there. So it's a good place to just jump in and enjoy this 6-part story. So that's why we've set it a little bit outside of the normal continuity.
And then for everyone here, obviously, it is all about pop culture, geek culture, and you said earlier that just drawing it, you really want to make it feel like a movie. How much does the movie universe affect you guys? Because obviously now in the DC universe, we have a Deathstroke, and we do have a new Batman in Ben Affleck and Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, mostly when I draw the comic book, it's we've been exposed to the movies and everything, how they design the costumes. So I try to apply those logical decisions for the costume. So it's at the same time more fun to draw realistic costumes and characters, but at the same time it's a lot more difficult, especially with Deathstroke, with his
there's a lot of detail
lines,
going on.
Details, and we have to maintain consistency and everything. So and I actually tried to. I actually modeled the Batmobile so that I can maintain consistency. I modeled it in 3D. So
wow.
I played around with it. So.
That's so cool. Well, I love hearing that you guys are influenced by the films, because you hear so many times that the films are influenced by the comics, and that you guys are really influenced by the fans who are reading the books and who are buying the books and want to hear more about Deathstroke and Damian and Batman. So thank you guys so much for hanging out and joining me here. And I'm excited to continue reading the 6-part series that you guys are working on right now. And all of you guys watching here at C2E2 and online, make sure you're using that hashtag C2E2 and hashtag It's a Fan Thing. We have got so much more great stuff coming up here for you guys, so don't move. Next up, we are going to be joined by Jason Aaron, and he is going to be talking Avengers. See you guys in a little bit.